Hi,
Hello.
hi. I'm really confused because my show producer has changed the format of uh, the ad I use. I thought there was an ad in there, and I tried to play other ones, but there's none shown. So anyway, I saw you there, and anyway, uh, I want to welcome you to the podcast. Let me put us back on. I think I'm on, but I need to put you back on. Okay, could you tell me your name? Oh, Courtney.
Yes,
Yes, and I think Courtney, you've been on once before, correct?
twice.
Yeah, you're from Canada, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes, I am.
from South Brunswick,
Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia. I'll get it right.
Next door.
Yeah, it was. It was. I'm so glad to see you and welcome tonight. I need to say a couple things to my audience when we get
Mhm.
started here, so just bear with me and listen. Um, Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you. I'm Bob Pace, your host, and here we tonight to fight CPS and stop taking our children. That's what tonight's show is all about. You found me on Facebook, Fighting CPS, Bob Pace, and you've come into one of 8 rooms. Seven of the rooms are Facebook, and one is YouTube. Now, I'm broadcasting on YouTube using the StreamYard application. And when you text in messages to me, Um, anybody who uses YouTube, the messages are displayed so everybody can see. If you use Facebook, only those rooms and those people in those rooms will see them. So I have to put the messages up on the screen so everybody can see your text messages. Now, there are 4 ways to interact with this room. One way is to just be in the room, and then with the being in the room, you would be able to send emojis, or you'd be able to um, let me see. Oh, like a heart or a smiley face, or send me stars or a thumbs up. Also, you can check below if you want to follow me. I'd love to have you follow me. Excuse me. And also, if you want to be notified when I'm live, you hit the notification button. Now, I'm sorry about that. Um, the other thing I'd like to mention about was that if you wanted to text a message, which is great, interact, all you need to do, and I'll put the message on the screen, is all you need to do is that when typing a message and a comment or CPS question, please show your first name and your city or county where the case was in and your state. Now, if you're from another country, I'm more than welcome you from other countries. So everybody is welcome in here. Whoops! Somehow the message disappears. And try to be complete with your case. I have about 21 countries in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia, that have um, interacted with this podcast. So I have a good group of people. I've talked to over 900 people since October 23. So that's a lot of people I've talked to. A lot of people have issues. Now, a third way to interact with this podcast is to be a guest. And we have Courtney on the show, who's a guest, and she's been on it before. And so um, I think it's a great way to be a guest because you don't have to wait your turn talking on the phone, because I do have another way you could talk on the podcast. But right now, being a guest is great. I actually have 9 guests, including me makes 10. So that'd be 9 people that would participate and be able to talk about their case and help other people that come into the room and text messages and questions and stuff. So, um, to be a guest, all you do is talk to our show producer by sending her an email. Her name is Grace. She does a lot of hard work behind the scenes. And her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. I'm trying to put it up there, but I don't know if there it is. Right. Now, my shows, I have 14 shows. They're every day, typically typically at 10 a.m., and that is Pacific Standard Time. I'm on the west coast of California at Surf City, USA, 3 blocks from the ocean. And it goes for 1 hour in the morning. And in the evening, I got my other show time at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. That's p.m. And it goes for 1 hour, and it's Pacific Standard Time again. Now, those are my show times. There's 14 shows I do a week. I've been doing that now for 16 months. It's a lot of shows, and it's 14 shows a week. And so you pick one of the shows you want to be on. I want to be on Bob's Saturday show, Monday show, AM or PM. And then what you do with the request and the email, she'll send you a link. And with that link, you'll be able to get onto the podcast. Is that how it worked, Courtney?
Yes.
Right. And so if you happen to be booted off the podcast, you can get back on by using the link. The link is good for the length of the show, so you can get back on. And it's I use StreamYard as the application, and so StreamYard, where I run it on YouTube, and so you can do a lot of things there that StreamYard does. So that is my third way. Now, my fourth way to interact with this podcast is to call me at 626-698-0990. You can talk to me and be on the podcast. I mean, you can talk to me and be on my phone. I'll turn on the speakerphone and you can talk to me, but no one will see you. And it's only a one-on-one, so it means that I can only talk to one person at a time. I can't talk to 3 or 4 people on the phone. So being a guest gets a lot more people on. Being on the phone is more personal. Both operations will entitle you to a free 15-minute session with Vincent Davis, my attorney. And it's a free 15-minute consultation on Zoom. And all you have to do is be a guest on my show or call in on my phone. Those are the 2 ways there. So those are all 4 ways you can be on this podcast. And I know that all of you have been involved in a CPS, which I define that as the Child Protection Systems. Every county, every state has a CPS, it's a Child Protection System, which I call CPS. They may have different names. Their names may be Department of Children's Services, DCS, or they might be the Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS, or they might be Child Protection Services, CPS, similar to what I call the CPS system. Anyway, whatever name or acronym they have, when I say CPS, I mean all of them. So we're here to talk about the rogue CPS entities and counties. When I use the word rogue, I can't say all of CPS is bad. But enough of them, over 900 people have told me they're bad, including myself, that CPS is bad. And I'm pretty sure Courtney will tell you it is bad in her case. And she's from Canada. And so she's out of the country. And so I do talk to people from out of the country. I've had a call in from South Africa, and it's country code 27. And I have a call from England, and that's country 44. So my calls have been around the world, from Indonesia to Bangladesh to India to Libya, then to Saudi Arabia, then over to Africa. It's been Liberia, then it's Sudan, and then Rwanda, then Mozambique, and then 4 provinces in Canada, in South Africa, and then up to Europe. It's England, Scotland, Wales, and Denmark and Sweden. Then across the pond, it is North America. And I've had Canada with 4 provinces, and one of them is right here tonight. And then I've had United States, all 50 states have been represented here, and also the District of Columbia. Then south of the border, I have Mexico. Then down to South America, I have Grenada. Then across the Pacific, I have New Zealand. And then down under, um, I have Australia and 2 states there. We have another guest tonight. I'm going to welcome you. Her name is Shannon. Courtney, do you know Shannon?
You mean Shauna?
Shauna, do you know Shauna?
Yes, my mother.
I thought so. And so we're welcome Shannon's mother to the show. Hi, Shanna. How you doing?
Hi. Good.
Glad to meet you. I've been going over what we can do in this podcast and talking with Courtney, your daughter. So we have Shanna, the mother of Courtney, and they've been on my show once before. Shanna, you're from Canada too, right?
Yes.
Great. Okay. I'm so glad you two have joined me tonight. It was refreshing the last time that we talked, and we will talk again in your case in just a moment. I was trying to wrap up with what we can do in this room is there. Now, I also want to say good evening to our regular people. I have 25 to 50 people that come in all the time, not all at once, little dribbles. I have Betty Jo from Montana, who's a foster care mom who recently is taking care of a 4-year-old child whose parents were killed in an automobile accident, and he's waiting to be adopted by a family member. So Betty Jo is special. She also has a case where she's trying to get her brother's child back, her niece. Her brother and his girlfriend at the time were over in Nebraska with the child. The girlfriend is the mother of the child, but she does not want anything to do with it, and she is no help. So Betty Jo is taking the child as a guardian. She's adopting the child as a guardian. And so she's making arrangements with the ICPC, the Interstate Compacted Placement for Children. The Interstate Compact Placement for Children. And that particular entity, it's a national entity, and it moves children safely around the country. So where they're transported from family to family and so forth. So what's going to happen is that child's going to be transported from Nebraska to a family in Montana, and then Betty Jo will get guardianship of that child, so the child can see her dad, and then the mother can help take care of the child. She's not interested. She's not a bad social worker. She's one of the good social workers. So I think that's nice that she's on. Now we have Philistine Gibson, and she is from Canada also. She's an indigenous tribe member of the First Nation people in Canada. They call their Indians First Nation people. In the United States, we call our Indians Native Americans. So we have Philistine, who is a mother and a grandmother, I think, who's had a horrible time dealing with CPS. And she says, "Hi, Courtney. I'm from Nova Scotia, but I now live in New Brunswick now. Feel free to inbox me on Facebook." Okay, that was nice of you, Philistine. And so, have you girls met Philistine before, Shannon or Courtney?
No.
Don't remember. We talked to a lot of people the last time we were on.
Yeah, I think you did talk to her. That's all. But anyway, she is one of my regulars, like Betty, and she comes in. And so now we have 3 Canadians on and 1 Montana. So Betty is doing an ICPC. I know, the Interstate Compact for Placement of Children. So I think what it is that this national organization checks out point A to point B and safely transfers the child. Now, question, Betty Jo, is that niece of yours going to be in your home, or are you going to bring it from a Nebraska home to a Montana home, and then you get guardianship, the child lives with you? That's what I'm trying to understand. I may not get that right. But anyway, I'm here to talk about the rogue CPS, the child protection systems, the bad ones that you can't trust. They're not transparent. They're not held accountable. They bring you up. They defeat you. They hurt you. They are. And they're only in the purpose of making money. They don't believe in reunification. They believe in adoption through foster care because they get money. It's $1 trillion business those uh, entities are doing. Now, not all of CPS is bad. I'm not trying to say that. But I do have, myself included, terrible experience with CPS. They really are bad. They really are bad. And so they're supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse. But lately, I've had 4 cases where they died in the arms of CPS workers. One was just recently a 4-month-old baby was found blue in the face. It was described to me this morning. That was a hard thing. And it died in the care of a social worker. Another one was in South Africa, and they were out on an excursion, and the crocodile came out of the water and took the child and took him, and he was gone. A third one was a play box with these styrofoam balls, and the child was so young that the other children trampled the child to death. Again, there's lack of supervision by CPS. Those are 3 incidents of how bad CPS is. And another incident that I have is my own child. My social worker was retaliating against us, my wife and me. And I am a father of 6 children, and 3 of them were grown up, and my other 3 were taken, to the foster care by CPS. And we had the social worker one day in court under oath discussing the possibility of our daughter being taken by my wife's sister and husband. We didn't want that to happen, and we had hired Vincent Davis. And Vincent Davis won it because what he found out is that when the social worker lied, he proved her lies. She was saying the social worker says that the adopted parents were great parents. They had no domestic violence and on and on and on. Well, Vincent pulled out these reports. And with the reports, he read the reports of extreme physical domestic violence. And the social worker lied because she said they're great parents and no domestic violence. So she retaliated. And when she retaliated, she told our daughter, 12 years of age, she told us parents first, you're never going to see your daughter again. She was embarrassed and caught by my attorney, Vincent Davis. So she went and coached my daughter about how to emancipate from the parents. That means divorce the parents. When you're 12 years of age in California, you can get a divorce from your parents. No reason. It's really weird. Not only that, she is divorced from not her mom and dad, but both sets of grandparents, from her 3 brothers, from her 2 sisters, and all her aunts and uncles and cousins. It's a tragedy because the whole family was wiped out by her. Also, she was coached to change her name, completely eliminating her 3-part name. And her middle name was Hanalei, a beautiful place in Kauai. And then she told the social worker, says, you need to seal your birth certificate and get a new birth certificate and list your adopted parents as your parents. And she did that. And then she was told to get a Social Security card. The only trouble is she had a Social Security card and she was getting my Social Security benefits because I had children over the age of 60. And you get additional help. It's your money, by the way. People don't understand, and maybe, I don't know if you understand that in Canada, that every month when you work a real job, and I started at 15, so I had amassed pretty close to $4 million in Social Security. But they don't give it back to you all at once. They give it to you in dribbles because I hope that you die and they get to keep the money. They take that money, they make interest on the money, you don't get the interest. Anyway, if you are a senior over the age of 60, you get additional help from Social Security to take care of your children. So that's what I was getting originally. But she got a second Social Security card so she could double dip. So she was getting $1,000 at first. Now she was getting $2,000 first. And it's all my money. It isn't her money. But when I got it from her, I spent it on her for clothing and school and whatnot to help. But anyway, she did that, which is illegal. And of course, she was adopted by the foster care family. And she's now 22 years old. And she lives with her older sister, which is nice. At least there's some family bonding. And my three sons see her, but excuse me, my two sons see her. The oldest son is 47. He has a job in the military, and so he doesn't really see too many people there. But anyway, it's sad. It's really sad that your child is ripped from you and taken from you, and CPS got away with it. They retaliated because she was caught with a lie. And I could sue her, but I don't have the money to sue. I barely had the money to hire Vincent Davis to defend me, get my three boys, or get my three children back. Two of them I did get back. But I want to tell you, that's the kind of social workers you're going to see out there. So maybe Shannon and Courtney can tell what kind of social workers you experienced.
Not pretty much good ones at all. That is for sure. Um, it's awfully a mess right now. Nat, I know they do lie a lot and they get caught in their lies, then they may come up with a new one. It keeps on going on and over again. Right now they're trying to push my son for adoption. Like they're really pushing it. Um, I have court next month to lose my parental rights, which I'm trying to fight not to give up my parental rights because I'm not going to give up my son at all costs. And yeah, I will fight until my deathbed for my kid. The reason why I came on here because I don't know if anybody been in my situation. I went to a court hearing back on Halloween, which is October 31st, for a settlement conference. The judge wanted me to go get my son's medical records. And I said, yes, I can do that. I have called the IWK. They emailed me back saying, I'm sorry, it has to be a parent to get his medical records. The first thing I said, excuse me, what do you mean by parent? Um, it says, well, for one, you're not listed on his health card or any legal documents here stating that you're his mother. I have called my caseworker and let her know what was going on. And she told me, oh, it's because you can't get his medical records because you're not in a parenting role. I called my lawyer right away. I told her what was said, and she says, oh, they cannot do that unless you lost your parental rights, which you haven't yet. So it's really messy how much they want you have less access to your child. Like they don't want you to know any information about your child. They keep you in their dark. It's like a guessing game. I'm not sure if anybody else is in that situation or it's just me.
Um, I sort of understand you, Courtney. My question to you, and maybe the people listening do not know your case, maybe like I did. This
Mhm.
is not about a Courtney being uh, terminated. Courtney has a child. She has a child that's a special needs, correct?
Yes.
And you're a special needs child too.
Yes.
And Shannon has been trying to help you and your baby,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. And so this is a very unusual because we have two special needs people and we have a corrupt CPS entity uh, in Quebec, right?
Nova Scotia.
No, Nova Scotia. I'm sorry, Nova Scotia. Does that CPS entity? What do they call themselves?
Child Protection Services.
The what services?
Child Protection Services.
CPS. Okay, that's easy. We're talking about CPS. I can use that. So she has a CPS that they've gone bad on you, right? They've made promises they didn't keep.
Yes.
Now, when your child How soon did they take your child from your? How soon do you get involved in CPS?
2 months after giving birth.
Okay, so you had a child at 2 months after birth. Before that, you weren't involved in CPS.
No.
Okay, and how did the first inkling of CPS get involved with you?
Well, they contacted me 2 days, trying to get a hold of me 2 days before Thanksgiving. And I told and that I didn't know I usually don't answer numbers that are unknowing. Usually, unless it's important, please leave me a voicemail because a lot of scam calls, so I usually don't answer numbers from that. They didn't leave me a message or anything, so I was like, "Hey,
No, I
well,
do the
it's not
same. I
important."
do the same. I
I
do
guess
the
it's not important, and they try to get a hold of my mom, say, "Do you know where your daughter is? We're looking for her." My mother told her where was at. They end up showing up to my son's father's. They told me I had to go back to my mother's house. I was like, well, I want to go back home to my apartment where to get more use for my son. That's where all his stuff's at. All my stuff and my medications for my seizures and my heart. So I like to be at home. They called my mother at work. So my mom said, you know what, that's fine. I'll go to her house. Meet her there when she gets there. I called my mom once I got dropped off that I'm back home. She came right away. She spent the night at my house with me and the baby.
Can
And
you
then the
stop
next
here for a
morning,
moment?
yeah,
You said it was 4 months after your baby born, or 2 months?
2 months.
And how did they first reach you? You left a message on your phone?
They called me from an unknown number and they didn't bother to leave me a
Okay, stop there for
voicemail.
a second. What prompted their call? Do you know?
I had no idea. They keep on saying it's from this person, from that person, from this person. I'm not really sure what to believe. I really don't believe a word what comes out their mouth anymore. I said, unless you show me paperwork, I don't want to believe anything you guys are saying.
I
You guys,
agree. I agree. You also probably didn't know at that time that you need to get an attorney, right?
when I told my son, they told me I had 5 days to get a lawyer, which I already had a lawyer because I was going to take my son's father for full custody. So I already talked to my lawyer that I already had, and she
But
took
that
my
lawyer probably
case.
had no background in child protection services,
She
right?
does, but he lied to me and my mother, so I ended
Oh.
up firing her and getting an attorney out of legal aid.
Now, were you paying him or was he doing this pro bono?
Nope, it wasn't paid for.
So he's doing a pro bono.
Yes.
Okay. That's the downside of using pro bono attorneys. When you don't pay someone, it's hard to fire someone offering something for free.
Mhm.
And also, I don't think you had the knowledge that you have now about what CPS is all about. I didn't have the knowledge either. And I don't think your mother did either. I think nobody
No.
really knows about CPS until it's too late.
Till you're dealing with them
You know,
yourself.
my case was like this. For 5 years, I had received phone calls once a week from an entity called the Child Protection Services in Orange County, California, the CPS, same as yours name. And every week they would say, we got a report that you're not feeding your children, or we got a report that you're not paying your utility bills. We got a report that your house is a slum. We got a report that your children are in school. Well, it's very unusual. I mean, I lived in a private neighborhood with CCNRs. So you can't even put a rain gutter if it's the wrong angle or a curtain's the wrong color without somebody complaining. And my house was new. It was built in 2004 and it was a huge house. Each child had their own bedroom and a bathroom, and there was an upstairs and downstairs, a huge backyard, and there was everything around it that was nice. The people that were calling in, I did not know until after the case was over. It was my in-laws, and they never really. My wife's parents did not like my family. They did not uh, like me marrying their daughter, so they never were supportive. And for 31 years, they were always trying to undermine us. And when I lost my job in 2010 through no fault of my own, I had another concern. I had a mortgage payment to pay of $5,000 a month, which is a pretty hefty amount of money. It included a first and a second because I was given what was called a predatory loan, a loan that you really didn't qualify, but the guy selling the loan wanted to make money. So he doctored the documents. He raised my income, he doubled my income so he could qualify. So he get a bonus on the size of the loan. And of course, he tried to sell you need to get a credit line. I said, why do I need a credit line? He said, oh, an emergency type thing. He knew in the back of his mind that I wouldn't have enough money to pay the property taxes. The property taxes were $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year, paid in two payments, and I was budgeting in that 5,000. I had my first at 2,000, my second at 1,000, my property tax another 1,000. I had another 1,000 there for home repairs and stuff. So I tried to balance it out, but um, with all that being said, I'm going through a lot that time. I had a predatory loan. The banks had collapsed because of predatory loans. They had all collapsed. And my lender at the time was Countrywide, and Countrywide was bought out by Bank of America. I did sue Bank of America for the predatory loan, but it was a small amount that I received. So I was disappointed. But anyway, I had a lot of things going on in my life. My life was really hard. And CPS seems to attack people that are going through hardships. Like maybe you and your mom were going through some hardships and you don't have the money to hire a lawyer, because one of the things I know that anytime you're involved with the law or anything legally, you need to have a lawyer. And I compare it to you needing, if you need open heart surgery, you're going to get a bona fide doctor. You're not going to cut open your chest, take your heart out beating in your hand and try to fix it. You're going to get a professional doctor to do it. Well, that has to be with CPS. They are very corrupt. They're very deceiving. They make promises. And I'm not talking about all CPS. I'm talking about the rogue CPSs. The CPS entities in every county, every state, and every country is identified that they do stupid things. Like they insist on taking your children that are in immediate danger. They want to kidnap your children. They want to alienate your children from you as parents. They want to overcharge the parents. They want to insist to come to your home or you come to their office. The reason is they don't have enough ammunition. They're hoping to find something on you. And there's two kinds of people that call in on you. It's either the professionals, which are trained, and 99% of them are it's pretty good that what they call in is true. But then there's the lay people, and about half the lay people lie. And they do it for retaliation. They try to get revenge against the neighbors because his yard maybe is overgrown, or because his dog barks too much, or it's a family member that wants to get another family member. And so suddenly family members become involved. It becomes a big mess. What the rogue CPS do, they prey on individuals like that. I had just recently lost my job in 2010 through no fault of my own. So they're preying on me because they know you can't afford an attorney, because they want a court-appointed attorney for you. You see, it's your constitutional right, anytime you're in legal matter, and I think it's true in Canada, that you have representation, legal representation. A lawyer must be provided. That's the constitutional right or civil right. And you're supposed to have that. And so they're hoping you take their attorneys, which are no more than criminal attorneys that know nothing about juvenile law, family law, or dependency law. They're not fighters, because CPS makes them have more than 30 clients. So they don't have time to talk to you away from court. The only time you see these attorneys is when you're in your courtroom, and they'll meet outside for 5 minutes. Also, if you have a court-appointed attorney, you can't speak to the judge. You suddenly have this person defending you, and they're not going to really defend you. They're going to lay around and not fight for you. So that's another problem that people are facing, that I was facing, and you may have been facing too, is lack of knowledge about CPS. If I knew what I know now, I would never have lost my children. I would never have them enter my home, and I would never, ever have talked to them. I would have got an attorney right away and let my attorney do all the talking. But like you all, I didn't have the money at first. So what I did is I was faced, should I keep my home that I worked 45 years for, or should I do a quick sell? So I sold my home half of its value. so it'd sell quick. So I got the money. I paid off my first and second, and then the rest of the money I used to hire Vincent W. Davis, my attorney here that produces podcasts. And I want to thank him very much for it. So, um, with that being said, is that something similar happened to you about with CPS?
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Shannon, I know that you're listening. It's great that Courtney's talking this time because last time I think you talked a lot, but which is fine. Is there anything you want to add about the situation with Courtney in the beginning? I'm talking about the beginning right now.
It's it's really difficult right now the way CPS is, because they have no grounds to take him. And what they're doing is totally wrong. And it is very hard to fight them because there are a lot of lies that's being said.
Okay.
An awful lot of lies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And right now, the way they're using it, the reason why they took him is because of her mental capacity and her health.
Now, what about you as a mother? Did you, when you first had your meeting with CPS, did they have what's called a settlement conference where you sit down and talk about what your children need to be cared for or what's going to happen? Did they have that at all?
Had a court conference.
They did have it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, why couldn't the child be placed in your custody, Shannon?
Right now they're saying the reason why they didn't want us to have him is because we don't know how to put his boots and bars on property. So we are causing him to have issues with his feet. We are the reason why he has permanent damage, apparently, which I don't believe because I was told specifically by his specialist at the IWK in Halifax that the foster parent had issues with his boots and bars being put on property and also with his castings. And they're the ones who are the cause of his getting damage more to his feet. But we're the ones who are getting the blame for it, me and my husband.
Okay, question. Have you gone to the pediatrician of your baby? You have a private pediatrician, right?
I don't know if he has a pediatrician, and none of the doctors will talk to me because he is not my son.
Okay, stop right there. Grandparents have a right, they have a legal right to deal with a family member. Grandparents do have a right. There's a book. I want everybody to hear this. There's a book written by Vincent Davis, just recently published, called The Grandparent's Guide to Get Guardianship of Your Grandchildren, a step-by-step guide. It's good for parents. It's good for grandparents. And it's only $9.99, and you can get it at 888-888-6582. You ask for it. Make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. And if you use my name, my last name, PACE, all capitalized, and add the numbers 50, Pace 50, you'll get a 50% off the book. So it's half of $9.99. I think it would be half of that is $4 and what is it? 22 cents. Am I saying that right? Or no? I think it is. Anyway, it's a half off, $5. And that guide will go over you step by step as grandparents. And it can be they're blowing smoke up you. They are telling stuff that isn't true. That's a bad habit that CPS is. They have a bad habit of promoting lies and things that are not true. And that's the rogue CPS. I'm not talking about the good CPS. I've only met 5 CPS people. And one of them is on the show tonight, Betty Joe. She's a foster care mom. And she's very legit. She's taking care of a child that lost its parents, and she is, and I think I mentioned that in the show. So she is a foster mom, but she's not a foster mom that wants to take children and abuse them. She only wants to help them in chance to find a permanent home. So, if any of you foster care people are listening to me, any of you social workers, please come on the show. I've already had 4 of them talk on the show. I've had another one was Carol from Maryland that talked for 40 minutes. And she was a clinical psychiatrist also. And she supposedly said she had 6 months of training in CPS for Maryland. And she was good on the show. So what is really happening is this particular CPS entity, this rogue entity in your home or the county, is it called counties in your province, or how do they designate areas within the province?
It's a province.
No, that's the province is the whole big area, but don't you
It's
subdivide it into counties or something, or
towns.
towns? Is it called townships?
Yeah.
There, I want to use the correct terms. I'm not Canadian, and I've not gone to Canadian government or Canadian schools, so I don't know. So if I sound stupid, I'm sorry, Shannon. So you have townships, and those townships, it sounds like that particular township is very corrupt because they're making allegations. Because see, if you have a baby, you usually get a pediatrician assigned to that baby because the baby has to be checked every so often. The pediatrician is a infant child doctor. Up to 18 is what the pediatricians handle. And if you got the pediatrician to check out your son and say, by improper placement of his special shoes, am I causing any suffering or pain there? If the pediatrician says, no, you're not, then that's a person you want to subpoena to go before the judge and tell the judge that, hey, these parents are great. The grandmother is great. The grandfather's great. And the mother is great. Okay. And so you need to disprove what CPS is alleging you're doing. Now, I got to do a sidebar because a lot of people have called in this room here. I have right now 3 pages of people here trying to help. And I'm not trying to ignore you, but I do have to, with the people that are on Facebook, I have to put their messages up. Now, we already said good morning to Betty. Philistine is from Nova Scotia. We said good morning to her. And Philistine says, I'm proud of your teal. I'm proud of you too. Yes. Betty says, I got a call in from my caseworker, and she told me she'll be on Monday to come see my home. Well, you got to be careful about inspection of your home. You need to have your attorney tell you if that's good or bad, because they will find something. Yes, you'll be coming from Nebraska to Montana and then adopt her. Oh, okay. What they're doing is CPS, the IPCP, the Interstate Compact Placement for Children, wants to make sure that the home is safe, and that's part of the process. So that should be okay, Betty. I'm kind of jumping the gun there. Now, Philistine, I need to put her message up because she's from Facebook. She says, manipulated and brainwashed, so many youth are against their loving parents and grandparents. What a shame. Well, I think she's talking about her family members turning rogue on her or something there. Now, Betty says, you can ask the judge a letter from your doctor saying that you are the mother of the child. I don't think there's a proof. I mean, Courtney is accepted mother. The only problem, they think because she's special needs, she doesn't know how to take care of her child. But that's not true because she does put the boots on and the apparatus that goes with it. He must have a special walking problem, correct?
No, he's walking great now.
Okay, well, at the time, did he have a walking problem?
Yes, when he was first born.
That's okay, when he's first born. And so now she's walking. And so one of your strongest point, and I know you haven't really have your pediatrician. I don't think you were thinking about way back then. Now, Betty says, Mom, can you ask the caseworker to become a foster parent? She says, maybe, Shannon, you could be a foster parent. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how foster care is done in Canada. I know that Betty is a foster care parent. She went through training. She made agreement with the child protection system in Montana to be a foster care, and she's demonstrated to me by how she's taking care of her children and being on the show so much of the time. So maybe that is a possibility, Courtney, that maybe your mother Shannon could be a foster parent. Also, take your grandbaby as a foster parent. Okay, take your grandbaby. Okay, you can formally adopt someone and make them your guardianship, Shannon. You can formally adopt your daughter's son and make a guardianship. I don't know how far you want to go with that, because Betty is actually getting the complete medical and educational rights to the niece from her brother. Her brother's okay with that. He's a special needs guy too. And so that was the suggestion that Betty said. Now, Philistine from Canada says that she lives in Kentville, Nova Scotia, and in 1 year, I had the authorities at my house 100 times, 3 times a week. 300 times a week, systematically bullying me and bothered me. They would open up a file on Monday and close it on Tuesday. Never once did they take my children. They just bullied me and bothered me and interrupted our good, healthy family going to Bible studies. Well, that's terrible, Philistine. That really is. Further, Philistine says the people that call on me were friends of the director of Child Protection Services. She would go to the local pub every weekend drinking and gambling with the Child Protection Service directors. They were child care buddies. So that CPS was being corrupt, and that's a conflict of interest. You should not be partying with social workers. In fact, a social worker doesn't need to be partying at the pub. Now, we have a new person in here, or maybe you've been in before, called Al B. Welcome, Al B. Al B says, I'm a paralegal. I love the law and have a high conflict custody case with CPS harassment for many years due to in-laws when discovery documents from CPS won full scale. Now, where are you from, Abby? If you could give me your location, it would help me. He further says most family lawyers in North Carolina, okay, he's in North Carolina, don't even pretend to tackle CPS. You're right. It's a terrible entity for most lawyers. Lawyers like easy cases. That's why I have Vincent Davis. He's a pit bull of attorney. Not only has he have the experience of juvenile law, family law, dependency law, he has fought CPS when the case is closed and won civil cases with money coming back, both in the state and the federal level. Many family lawyers in North Carolina don't even pretend to tackle CPS. Albee says further, with the baby left alone, and that is the initial content. No, the baby, this came out of the blue, and the mother was, Courtney, was declared unfit to take care of the child. And I think part of it had to do with the apparatus that he had to wear or something. And then Albee says, boats and bar is the turn to feeling straight, right? Boots and bar is the turn the feet straight. Okay, yeah, he's talking about the apparatus. It's called a boots and a bar that make your feet straight. So when the child was born, he had problems with his feet. Now CPS is interfering. Courtney, do you know if CPS was, I think someone had to call in, a layperson, and maybe it was a family member. Do you know of a family member that doesn't like you or doesn't like your mother? Are all the
No,
family
it
members
was
supportive of
it,
you?
we we were told the ones who called CPS in was public health nurse.
Okay. What happened was is you went and saw a public health nurse. Now,
Mhm.
why were you seeing a public health nurse instead of the child's pediatrician?
The hospital never got him one.
Okay. Do you have medical insurance?
Through MSI, yes.
Okay, I think in Canada they don't, it's different in the United States. You have to have insurance. And so to have a medical
But
physician.
we have a family doctor.
Okay. Does the family doctor refer to a pediatrician doctor or can the family doctor do pediatrician work?
No, she does everything for him, like
Okay.
his
So you get
vaccines,
the family
weights, and stuff
doctor
like that.
to write a letter
Mhm.
and appear in court, subpoena as a witness that you were properly taking care of the child with the bars and boots, and that you were straightening the child's legs, and the nurse that reported to it was mistaken because either you said something or she took advantage. Because I'm talking to both Shanna and Courtney, and you guys speak correctly. You look like, I mean, I don't think you guys have any problems. I think you're beautiful people. I think you both are great mothers. I think Shannon has raised a really fine daughter that is smart and stuff. She may have some needs. There's nothing wrong with people that have needs.
I learn pretty quickly if you show me. I work. I
Yeah,
went to college more than once. I
I know you did, Courtney, and it's
I can
sad
learn
because
if
they're
you show
now.
me. If
Where
you
is
tell me to
the
do something, I really can't process
right,
my brain. But if you learn me by hands-on, I catch
right
on just like a snap of a finger.
now? Where is the father? By the way,
He's
He
not.
he doesn't want to be involved with this case. He said it's way too messy. Last time I talked to him, he told me that the caseworker said something very horrible to him, to the point that he stepped back. Then he
okay.
took a massive
Was
heart attack.
was he in love with you? Were you guys just having a girlfriend boyfriend relationship, or were you just one time lovers?
We used to date at one point, yes.
Okay, so you once had a girlfriend boyfriend relationship.
Yes.
Why did that relationship sour? What happened with that relationship?
One of my other ex-boyfriends kept on trying to interfere with my relationship with a new guy
Oh,
I was dating. So
okay.
I end up breaking it off for a bit to deal with my ex trying to get him out
Yeah,
of the picture because I don't like fighting or conflicts. I try to avoid that. I'm too old for that. So became friends, but we still love each other. Like we're kind of in a relationship and kind of not. That's how he thought about it. But I told him maybe down the road when there's not so much stress or people interfering in relationships, maybe I'll try it again down the road.
right, right, right. Which is sad because it's been proven that biological parents are the best parents to raise your children. But I know your mother, if she raised you, Courtney, she could certainly help you with your child. And sounds like she's still very much helping you too.
Yes.
It sounds
Yes.
like you're pretty much helping her too. So
Yes.
that is good. Um, anyway, hold on a second. I have family. I'm on my podcast. Can you guys keep it quiet? Thank you. Thank you. Well, no, I know it's fun, but anyway, dinner will be served shortly. Okay. Um, I am a jack of all trades here, so I have a family still at my dinosaur years. I call myself a dinosaur, but I don't feel like a dinosaur. But people say I'm too old to work in my career job, so I am trying to get one.
I my saying is you're never too old to start over.
I agree. I love that. Well, my other saying is I'm forever young. So when people
Yes.
ask me my age, I'm forever young.
You only live once.
Yep, yep, yep. Well, we're going along really good on this time around because I've gotten to know you, Courtney and Shannon. I know your names and know where you're located. Plus, we're allowing the room to participate. This has been nice. The messages have come in a lot. Phil Stein, who's from Facebook, said, "I'm so impressed with you, Courtney and Mom Shannon. So there is a lady from Canada, one of your native Canadians, that is impressed with both of you. And I am very much impressed with both of you. How can I help you? What questions or what can I do to tell you or show you the way?
It's hard to explain. We're at a standstill right now because we don't know what else to do right now. We are stuck. And what really makes me angry right now is that CPS knows that we had to go, the judge told us that we have to go and get the medical records from the IWK, the baby's doctor, showing that, that I'm not responsible because I'm the one who's getting the blame for it.
Right, right.
Me and my
Okay,
husband.
well, okay,
So,
you got to get a list of paper and make some steps down, and I'll try to help you because I think I
yeah,
can help you
so
because
right now,
yeah,
um, the judge wanted me and Courtney to get in touch with the IWK, ask for his medical visits records from his visits with Dr. Orlick. And I
okay.
guess welfare knew about it because they knew. And so what they did, along with the foster mother, which is illegal because they're not allowed to do that, and I know for a fact they're not because I have friends that are CPS workers in Cape Breton, where I'm originally from, in Nova Scotia. And I reached out to my friend, and he said, no, they're not allowed to do that. Courtney's parental rights were not taking from her yet. Only a judge, and a judge only is the only one who can strip Courtney from her parental rights. We did not go to court yet. So what they did is that they went to the hospital, they removed Courtney from the baby's MSI card, which is our insurance in Canada. Removed her from all of his records. And they listed the foster mother as his mother, which really peed me off. And I made it quite clear to the CPS worker in the case. I emailed her and I told her straight out that because of this situation that my daughter is still his mother, not the foster mother, and that we once this matter's done, I am taking severe legal action. I'm actually going after them all. I am suing CPS and I'm also suing the foster parents.
Well, in order to do a lawsuit, I will tell you, you have to have the case closed.
Yeah.
If it's another matter, you can sue. But in this particular case, if you're suing the caseworker, your case has to be closed.
Yeah,
Now,
once this here trial's finished in
right, right. But
March.
what you can do to help yourself, you can ask the hospital doctor that saw your newborn
Mhm.
to not only write a letter, but to appear in court. Now, if he won't appear in a court, you can subpoena him.
That's
The
what I'm
subpoena,
doing.
you have to go. You have to come. But it's a proper form you have to. That's why a lawyer is so important. But I'm trying
Yeah.
to help you here. So you subpoena that doctor. Also, you subpoena your family doctor. Not subpoena, but ask them to come in. If he won't come in, subpoena him too.
Mhm.
So are you still hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Um, so you have to um, have those people because if you just have documents, they call it hearsay. That's why I don't understand how CPS can submit documents on their behalf and they don't have the person to support that. Like if they are saying that their doctors or their findings, they need to be in court. It works both ways. Anytime a statement's made, you have to have the person there to support that statement. That's a
Mhm.
legal matter. Now, another thing is that you lay this out. So you go back to them that the CPS worker, you can also subpoena that nurse because maybe that nurse is lying about something and you can cross examine that nurse. So far, you have the doctor when the baby was born, you have the family doctor, you have the nurse. Um, the CPS workers will be there and you can cross examine them. The problem is you need that kind of lawyer to do all that. And if you're trying to do it yourself, like pro se, that means you're being your own attorney. Pro bono is you're using somebody for free. And it sounds like the attorney you have for free is not very good in CPS cases. It's like anything else in life. If you use a general physician, and let's say you have a technical problem with your heart, you need to see a heart specialist. If you have a car problem and you are seeing a mechanic and he doesn't know about transmissions, you have to see a transmission specialist. So that's why you have to kind of build your group together there. But I know you can do it. I know you can. And also, I want you to get that guide. I want you to call that 888-888-6582. Get that guide. It's good for parents and grandparents because you can adopt the child. There should be nothing wrong with you, Shannon, because maybe what Betty was saying, Betty Joe from Montana was saying, become a foster parent. I guess CPS loves foster people, I guess. I don't know why. I'm not against foster people because some of them are really good. But my kids were abused in foster care, and my kids had a terrible time in foster care. And it was not very pleasant. You see, when my kids were taken, they weren't told what the parents had to do or do. We did not see our kids for 3 years. We did visit them, but we couldn't talk openly about the case. They weren't told that mom and dad are taking parenting classes or mom and dad's doing this or that. The kids are taught to put their hands at their side, don't hug your parents, don't show emotions, which is sad. Because now, it's hard to get my children to hug you or to care for you because they were really abused in foster care. They really were. And so that may, something. Your son is how old by now? How old is he?
17 months.
17 months. Wow,
He's
this is
18
so
months.
young and so precious. But there are solutions. I'd still look at attorneys in Canada where you live. You want to put the city and the province name. And then after that, put CPS because you'll see a lot of things pop up. Then after CPS, you put the question. You're looking for a juvenile law dependency lawyer who has fought CPS. And you should see those names pop up. Then you're going to call them and you're going to ask them 2 questions. The first question is, I've said this before, a lot of you listening, is that you need to ask them, are they trained professionally and licensed as a juvenile law, a family law, and a dependency law? And have they won cases against CPS? If the answer is yes, you go to the second question. The second question is, when the case is closed, have you ever sued CPS and won money back from them? And if the answer is yes, that's a good start. You're going to get 3 names. Then you're going to interview them and you're going to talk to them and see what the chemistry is between them and how much is a retainer or whether they want to do pro bono. Okay? But at least try that because without legal representation, and do they call the judge a magistrate? Is that the correct name for the judge in Canada? A magistrator?
We
Or do they
call
call
him,
him judge?
we either call him your majesty or your honor.
Yeah, okay. Your honor, your majesty. Okay. Do they still wear robes and wigs? Wow. So they got the old English still left in Canada. Okay. I wonder what happened to the United States. I think we threw away the wigs and robes and stuff. Anyway, we still have robes, but anyway, I picture what the UK goes through all the time because I watch Parliament, and it's a funny thing to watch them throw papers at each other and shoes at each other, and they're really vocal in Parliament there. So, but you do need, and I want you to come back too. I have to end my show. It's sad. I've already gone over 4 minutes. I started the show a little bit late because my program now it did have lots of videos, but they disappeared. So I don't know what happened to them. And I never told on my show when they make changes or stuff. Usually there's an audio that I play. And I guess right now it got too boring or didn't want to play it some more. But anyway, I want to thank you, Courtney and Shannon, for taking the time in this room. I want to
Thank
thank
you.
Al B from North Carolina, Phil Stein from Canada, too, and for being on there. I want to thank Betty Joe from Montana. She was on earlier, and I don't know if she's still on, but I want to thank her. All of you really make this podcast beautiful. I really do appreciate your comments and your openness. So I hope you do return again. It suddenly got dark over Shannon's picture. Why did that happen? Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
She's
All
hiding.
right.
Sorry about that.
I know you're moving. I was wondering, and suddenly I thought maybe you guys had a night storm or something. But anyway,
Well, we're getting
you
a
both,
snowstorm tomorrow.
yeah, you both are lovely people. I enjoyed chatting with you, and I do hope you get your 17-month-old child back.
Yes.
I think I have a pretty good understanding, and hopefully some of the suggestions I gave, or Betty Joe, or anybody else that gave suggestions, that you follow up. I mean, if you get an attorney, that's important. If you can't afford an attorney, be careful taking a attorney on your behalf, a court-appointed attorney, because the court-appointed attorneys are the wrong way to go, and so is pro bono, because sometimes they won't work or perform right because they're not getting money. You know, when
Yeah.
someone is paid money, you can sit there and say, well, if you don't perform right, I terminate you. Okay. So, you know, I hope that my advice is, but I think if you get a way of attacking them, maybe also look as alternative method being a guardianship, Shannon. Maybe look at being a guardianship and be a foster care mother. Maybe that might
Okay.
work. You know, that might work because I think you and your husband would be great. That would be great there because you're going to take care of your daughter. You already have, and she had
Yes.
a baby, and the father's out of the picture, but she needs support. That's the sad thing. When fathers go out of the picture, they drop their financial responsibility. Both people are responsible for a child. And you, Courtney, have come to bat for that. You certainly have expressed that. And Shannon, you are now raising a second child, or maybe you have other children, but you're raising a second generation child or third generation or second generation there.
Second.
So anyway, with that being said, again, I want to thank everybody in my room and please come back again. Tomorrow is Sunday. I go to church, so I like to start early at 8 o'clock in the morning with the show.
Okay.
And so tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, I'll be on and for an hour. And that is Pacific Standard Time. That's the West Coast of California. I'm a little bit further away from you guys. I think right now you guys are 3 hours ahead of me, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So it's a little after 8 to 9, 9 to 10, after 11 o'clock. So I've kept you up pretty late. So anyway, I am off to take care of my family, and I will see you all again. I don't know if I'll be able to produce a video after I sign off. Let me go see. Set audio videos, okay? And they say no video clips added. Add a video clip, okay? I don't have any, so I guess now I'm going to go ahead and exit. So bye-bye, everyone.